and a very warm welcome to Hunsford International Sports Centre.
In the men's pool same event, it's the 200-metre butterfly. This is heat number 1. Now in the men's side of the competition, we generally have the 4 fastest seats on these A sessions. However, we are going to have all 5 of the men's 200-metre butterfly. In E1, Jack Palin from lane 2, Bradley Cox, Jack Turrell, Sunday Jarvis and James Dobney. Entry times around 2:13 to 2:19. We do get as quick as the 150s a little bit later on now. Of course, 5 heats and 10 spots available in the final to close out the weekend later this afternoon.
In the women's pool, this is heat 1 of 4 at the halfway split. It is Isabel Morgan who's got almost 2 seconds of an advantage over Ella Poole. There's a super turn from Ella Poole, who is starting to move through the water nice and quickly in the second half of this race. Those two all clear of the rest. Entry times ranging between 2:34 to 2:40 in this particular heat. And Poole has taken just under a second out of Morgan's lead with 50 metres to go. Question now for Ella Poole is, can she continue to close that gap? 25 metres to go in the first heat. It's been Isabel Morgan of Cardiff 2:35. Heat victory time of 2:31.34.
And the men's ball ending concurrently is Jack Planter Marjon led from the gun. 2:10.48 is time. Warwick and Nottingham was total and Cox everyone is 2:10s. In top three. Anyone in the men's pool? Just wait for those times to be confirmed. They are indeed for the main confirmed talent. 2:10.48. Winning time E1. In the men's pool, this is heat number 2.
And in the women's pool, this is heat 2.
Full complement in Heat 2 for the women's 200-metre butterfly, and 0 Abigail Stemp for Edinburgh. In lane 1, Rosie Smith of Nottingham. Lane 2, Caris O'Reilly for Sheffield Hallam. Lane 3, Ekaterina Price of Bath. Lane 4, Kira Schlossen of Edinburgh. Lane 5, Fleur Lewis of Loughborough. Her teammate Rachel Anderson in lane 6. Lane 7, Zara Keegan of Aberdeen. Rebecca Amor of Manchester Met in 8, and Parkinson of Manchester in lane 9.
Into 8 of our 10 scheduled competitors. We do have Adam Jones in 1, Dan Menzer in 2, Sean Pence in 3, jump to lane 5 for Rory Young, Alex Sharman in 6, Josh Kelly Southern, Fraser Wilson 8, and Cameron Creamy in 9. Entry times all between 2:10 and 2:12. Fastest of which Jacob Elwell of Sterling is one of the ones that's not a winner. So Rory Young of Glasgow in the pool is the fastest swimmer. Into that final 50 metres, however, it is the man who is technically on the outside, Adam Jones, University of Central Lancashire. So BBC are open to heats coming on the outside on the far side of what you on the screen. He's got a couple of meters on Sean Petter and Rory Young. Adam Jones every time 2:11.89. He's going to take half a dozen seconds off that. He's a 2:08.61 for Adam Jones. Petter and Young. Right there, top three, lead number 2.
In the women's pool, 25 metres to go. It's been Kira Schlossen from the front, just ahead of Anderson and Price. Schlossen maybe just about still holding the advantage, the only swimmer with a sub-2:10 entry time. And the Edinburgh athlete will take the heat victory in 2:13.69.
In the men's pool, this is heat number 3. Heat 3 from lane 0, Nakamoto, Peter Allen, Tom Robinson, Ruben Vida, Freddie Clamping, Igor Subalov, Benjamin, Cyril Schleifer, Josh Harris, and James Bartley.
In the women's pool, it's time for Heat 3. Going in heat 3 of the women's 200-metre butterfly. In lane 0, we've got Eleanor Cooper of Manchester Met. Lane 1 is Lydia Parker of Bath. Lane 2, Molly Chambers for Sheffield Hallam. Lane 3, Maisie Thornton of Surrey. Lane 4, Kiana McInnes of Stirling. Lane 5, Hulima Avia of Imperial. Lane 6 is Frances New of Birmingham. Lane 7, Lauren Patterson representing Edinburgh. Lane 8 is Emily Simeons of Imperial. And lane 9, Ruby Coyle for East Anglia. Let's turn our attention back into the women's pool then. Kiana McInnes of Stirling, right in the centre of the pool, lane 4. 50 metres to go, 1:37.37 her split time, and she is extending her advantage over the rest of the field. 3.72 seconds ahead of Avia. Chambers just 0.03 of a second behind her, so a scrap going on for second in this heat. Kiana McInnes does have the second fastest entry time of all the entrants in the women's 200-metre butterfly. So a real medal contender, Kiana McInnes, and she is making that show in heat number 3. No doubt about the fact that she will take the heat victory in 2:11.89.
From lane 0, Kettlewell, Rose, Broom, Pardo, Gammon, Hutchinson, Hong, Wilson, Fox and Arrowsmith. Once again, a couple of guys sub 2 minutes. 1:59 for Josh Gammon. So 1:57, Josh Gammon. Hutchinson and Pardo also sub 2 minutes. As we've seen in heat number 3. Not particularly running to schedule in the men's 200 butterfly. On this side, it is Fox down in lane number 8 leading the way.
In the women's pool, time for the final heat, heat 4. Heat 4, lane 0, Anna Stansfield of Nottingham. Lane 1, Sophie Lawrence of Oxford. Lane 2, Catherine Ellin of Swansea. Lane 3, Maddie Robertson of Stirling. Lane 4, Laura Stevens of Loughborough. Lane 5, Paige Madden of Loughborough. Lane 7, we got Johnson from Swansea. Lane 8, Zara Leleu from Lancaster. Lane 9, Rebecca Auger from Durham. Final of our 4 heats in the women's 200-metre butterfly. Lane 4, Laura Stevens of Loughborough. Her entry time, 2:04.94. Fastest on paper. This heat in the women's pool coming to a conclusion. Well, it is for Laura Stevens of Loughborough, who is miles clear of the rest. Her entry time, 2:04.94. Her heat victory time, 2:08.44. Very close for second between Ellen and Madden.
Final heat for the very last chance to get into tonight's final. Going for it, George Smith, Hendrik van der Meet, Patrick Braddock, Andrew Vitoli, Andrea Gutierrez, George Barber, New Rodriguez, Adam Wilson, Luke Burton, and Ben Newell. Away, early stages, Andrea Gutierrez had a good night last night, 2 gold medals. Didn't quite match his 2021 performance when he had every single final he won. He also set a BUCS record, so set the bar extremely high. Still a successful night for the man from Loughborough. Halfway, just lead away by a couple of meters from Vitoli and Barber. 75 meters to swim in the final heat of the men's 200 butterfly.
Next event in the women's pool is the 100 meters freestyle. This is heat 16.
And to say, Cinnamon's ball going to bring it home extremely comfortably. 4 men absolutely side by side for second position, a 1:56.4 fastest time of the event. He'll take lane number 4 in the final. Loughborough's reserves.
In the first of the fastest 4 heats of the women's 100 meter freestyle, we've got Perry in 0, Bairstow in 1, Garrett in 2, Tennant in 3, Tanier in 4, Cornford in 5, Agent in 6, and then we go all the way up to lane 9 for Sophie Brandon of York. And it is Duru Tanier of Cardiff going well, so too in lane 9 is Sophie Brandon of York. And the heat victory does go to Duru Tanier in 58.6 seconds.
Into the men's ball to our next event, 100 meter freestyle. This is heat number 20.
In the women's pool, it's heat 17. Winter, Linton, Bowen, Morgan, Clifton, Hall, Slevin, Tinsley, Winstanley and Humphrey going in heat 17 of the women's 100 metre freestyle. Fastest entry time, Kate Clifton of Sheffield Hallam, 54.2, the only sub-55 swimmer on paper in this heat, and she is clear of the rest. Let's have a look at the clock, 54.29 to take the heat victory.
In the men's pool, this is heat number 21.
In the women's pool, it's heat 18.
Men's pool, Cam Brooke and Tom Garbo, two men that can go sub 50 seconds. There's only 10 in the entire event, and entry time that quick, so expect Cam Brooke and Carswell to be right at the front, but not going all their way. In 2 and 3, Finn Nicola Bruno comes there, and a great time in heat number 21. Cam Brooke takes it though, professional finish 50.19, 500 ahead of Finn Nicola.
In the women's heat 18, it's Guildford, Spinner, Davies, Duluth, Goodburn, Rogers, Walker, Stevenson and Telford. Catherine Duluth, 52.99, her entry time, multiple medalist in yesterday's action. She is just about ahead of the two swimmers either side of her in 3 and 5, Davies and Goodburn, and Duluth will take the heat victory in 54.87. In the women's pool, it's heat 19.
Absolutely, you're right. Pick opening 50 from Rory McKinnon in sub in the men's pool, 23.81. Up a second ahead of Simon Panner in 1. Will we see the centre lanes come through in the second half and the final of 25? Rory McKinnon from Strathclyde University very much enjoying himself in the penultimate heat of the men's 100 metre freestyle. Can he bring it home? Yes, he does. 50.07 before Baker and Brown.
The fastest of the 4 fastest heats in the 100 metre freestyle for the women, Cornelia Fikovic of Loughborough, is being pushed all the way by Evie Davies of Stirling in lane 5. 4 and 5 will be right at the front of this heat. Fikovic the faster on paper, and Davies just about the faster in the pool in this heat with a heat-winning time of 55.29.
In the final heat then, Strickland, Fairbairn, Poole, Cahoon, Clog, Cooley, Fry, Agnew, Hopkins and Cadenhead. Last chance to get into the final.
The next event in the women's pool is the 100 metre breaststroke. This is heat 7.
Men's pool, Jordan Cooley firing on all cylinders for Leeds Beckett.
First of our fastest 4 heats in the women's 100-metre breaststroke. We've got Causey in 0, Slater in 1, Callahan in 2, Lawson in 3, Sheehan in 4, Matty in 5, Rees in 6, Frost in 7, Chin in 8, and Shifchi in 9. The halfway stage, it is Callahan with half a second advantage on Zoe Causey in lane 0. In the women's pool, it's Causey in 0 and Callahan in 2 for the heat victory. It's very, very close. It's Callahan that takes it in 1:13.73.
To try and match, is it going to be 4 or 1? It is. Don Bissey at 1:03.12 sets the times of it.
In the women's pool, this is heat 8. We've got Richards, Danes, Payne, Cook, Hanlon, Goodburn, Russell, Ward, Jenkins and Hallett going in heat 8 of the women's 100-metre breaststroke. Cara Hanlon of Edinburgh, the fastest of the Edinburgh trio in the centre of the pool. 1:06.63 her entry time, and she's just about in front of her teammates, Olwyn Cook and Katie Goodburn, occupying the top 3 spots in this heat. At the halfway stage, Hanlon 1.13 seconds ahead of Goodburn. Those 3 in a trident formation in the centre of the pool, and it's very close amongst the rest of the competitors in this 8th heat. Super final turn from Cara Hanlon. She's put a significant amount of distance between her and her teammates, as she will definitely come through to take the heat victory. 1:06.63 her entry time, 1:08.01 for the heat victory. Job done for Cara Hanlon of Edinburgh. Olwyn Cook takes second. It was a super finish from Sophie Payne of Swansea to round off the top 3, pipping Katie Goodburn. In the women's pool, we can continue the action with heat 9. Let's have a look at the 10 swimmers in the penultimate of our fastest heats in the 100-metre breaststroke. In 0, we've got Georgina Butler of Swansea. In 1, Rebecca Keatley of Cambridge. Lane 2 is Bridget Lemazurier of Edinburgh. Lane 3, Anna Morgan of Edinburgh Napier. Lane 4, Tatiana Bolonagov of Loughborough. Lane 5, Beth Dennis of Sheffield Hallam. Lane 6, Camelia Stoimanova of Swansea. 7 is Louise Edmonds of Edinburgh. Megan Daly in 8 for Liverpool, and Tatiana Kinsler of Imperial goes in 9. It is Bolonogov who leads at the 50-meter split, 30.63, 2.67 seconds ahead of Camelia Stoimanova. Bolonogov's entry time, 104.9. Second fastest of all the entrants in this 100-meter breaststroke field. And certainly and clearly the fastest in this heat. Camelia Stoimanova of Swansea still just about in second, holding off some late pressure. 105.32 is the heat-winning time for Tatiana Bolonogov. That is pretty quick. Stoimanova does take second in this heat, 109.49. Anna Morgan of Edinburgh Napier, 110.93 for third place in heat 9. That result is confirmed on the scoreboard for those of you watching in the venue. And we can move on to heat number 10. In lane 0, representing Surrey, we've got Grace Pointer. Lane 1 is Lucy Canavan of Birmingham. Lane 2, Amy Fowles of Cardiff Met. Lane 3, Molly Monk of East Anglia. Lane 4, Sophie Hanson for Loughborough. Lane 5 is Katie Robertson of Edinburgh. Lane 6, Abigail Miles from Sheffield Hallam. Lane 7, we've got Morgan Hughes of Bath. 8, we've got Gogu of Manchester. And in 9, Aoife Marley for Birmingham.
Let's get back underway in the men's pool. This is team number 11.
Closing stages of heat 10 in the women's pool. Sophie Hanson of Loughborough with an entry time of 103.5 and a heat winning time of 107.01. Plenty in the tank for the final. She takes the heat victory in the final heat of the breaststroke.
For the gentlemen, William Loveland, Tom Deagley, Conor Massey, Ollie Campbell, Archie Goodburn, Conor Bryan, Ray Johnson, Josh Mitchell, and Max Underwood. Halfway mark, 1.59 second lead for Archie Goodburn over Conor Bryan as massive 350 in the 100 metres. This is all about setting times now, this final 25. No medals on the line, but places in the final 10 of them up for grabs. 2 more heats to come at the conclusion of the next few metres. All about Archie Goodburn's time here. He will stop the clock at 59.86. Take these 11.
Next up in the women's pool, event 507 at the 200 metres individual medley. This is heat 5.
Men's pool, this is heat 12.
In heat 5 in the women's pool, we've got Doubleday in 0, Cooper in 1, Chin in 3, Stead in 4, Latimer Hicks in 5, McDonald in 6, Kane in 7, Narroway in 8, and Faye Rogers in 9.
Men's pool again. This is heat number 12.
Holly Stead of Edge Hill in lane 4 had a narrow advantage over Faye Rogers of Aberdeen over in lane 9 at the last split. Right next to Stead, Latimer Hicks of Plymouth in lane 5 is paying close attention as well. And the freestyle has favoured Madeleine Latimer Hicks of Plymouth in Heat 5 of the women's 200 metres individual medley. Great final 50 from her to take the heat victory in 2:29.38. Rogers, a strong heat for her to take second, 2:30.44. Half a second ahead of Stead of Edge Hill. In the women's pool, it's time for Heat 6. Heat 6 of the women's 200 metre individual medley. We've got Kay, Adams, Green, Major, Colbert, Miles, New, Mills, Garbett and Dew.
Next event is the 200 metre individual medley. This is heat number 5.
50 metres to go. In Heat 6, it's Freya Colbert of Loughborough leading the way, 0.72 of a second ahead of Scarlett Major of Swansea, who is right next to it in lane 3. On the other side of Colbert, in 5, Abigail Miles of Sheffield Hallam is still in the mix as well. Freya Colbert's entry time, 2:12.01. So fast finish from Scarlett Major of Swansea as well. And it is Major who just about takes the heat victory by 0.04 of a second in a time of 2:15.93.
As always, fastest for his first times in this one. Anticipate all entry times between 2:11 and the high 2:13s. We do get as quick as sub 2 minutes later on into the event.
In the women's pool, this is Heat 7. In Heat 7, we've got in lane 1, Zara Keegan. In 2, Megan Byrne. In 3 is Kira Schlossen. In 5, Elsa McDonald. In 6 is Laura Sharp. 7, Karis O'Reilly. 8 is Emma Moore. And lane 9, Madeline Powell.
Conclusion of our first heat of the men's 2 a.m. Don Bissett very much enjoying himself in lane number 6, just going for a casual swim in a 2:06.44. That will be the time to beat elsewhere. Luke Adams 2:11, Jack Aldridge 2:12. Unlikely to be quick enough for the final. We're going to find out in the next 3 heats.
In the women's pool, Heat 7, the fastest on paper was Amber Keegan, but she's not started in lane 4, so that's opened up an opportunity for a few of our other quick swimmers. It's a great start from Megan Byrne of Bath in lane 2.
Men's pool, this is heat number 6. From lane 0, Ryan Ranger, Adam Wilson, Charlie Broom, Igor Suarov, Ben Harrison, Angus Allison, Josh Press, Harper Whitehead, Ethan Ritchie's, and Constantius Hadji-Constanti. And then we do have 2 men here. The cut goes up 60 seconds. Let's see what they can do with the next 200 metres.
We're into the freestyle in Heat 7 in the women's pool, and it's been a great swim from the front from Megan Byrne of Bath in lane 2. And that advantage over the rest is getting bigger and bigger. Elsa McDonald of Queen Margaret has moved in front of Schlossen and Sharp. The Heat victory will go to Megan Byrne in lane 2 for Bath in a time of 2:16.64.
Collective of 4 athletes, Alison Harrison, Press, and Whitehead, 99-100, separating the top 4. Then Hadji-Constanti, 2 seconds back down in lane number 9. They've got 75 metres remaining, 2:06 so far, the quickest time from heat number 5. We'll have this and 2 more as they approach the freestyle there. Freestyle 50 metres to close things out. That's why I do feel these things separate a little.
In the women's pool, it's time for Heat 8.
We thought they might separate a little, and exactly that's still the same 4 guys out in front. Angus Allison and Ben Harrison moving away, and it will be Allison that sets the new fastest time, 2:02.75. 2 cents clear of Loughborough's Ben Harrison.
The competitors in the 4th of the 4 fastest heats of the 200 IM for the women. Lane 1 is Hannah Poulter. In 2, Hulimar Avia. Lane 3, Amelia Monaghan. In 4 is Katie Shanahan. In 5, it's Honey Osrin. In 6, it's Loana Sasha. In 7 is Abby Lacey. Lane 8 is Katie Hammond. And lane 9 is Abigail Jackson.
Thanks, Paul. This is heat number 7. But on to the heat for the gents in the children IM, Brian Tang, Castle Ladies, Piers Greening, Evan Jones, Charlie Hutchinson, Archie Goodman, George Smith, Theo Clark, Dylan Gallagher, and Joseph O'Neill. Again, we have 2 men capable of sub 60 seconds. We've already seen a 2:02 fastest time from heat number 6. 20 more men looking for 1 to 10 spots in the final.
Final 50 of the final heat of the women's 200 IM, and it's Katie Shanahan out in front, 2.64 seconds ahead of Loana Sasha. Shanahan on paper the only swimmer with a sub 2:10 entry time. It's a good old battle between 3 swimmers going on behind her in 3, 5 and 6. Leading that group, Loana Sasha of Edinburgh. What have we got in the final 10 metres for the competitors to her left? No doubt about the heat victory. That's going to Katie Shanahan, the time 2:17.62. And it's Honey Osrin of Loughborough who takes second in 2:18.89.
Lane 03, Evan Jones representing Stirling, 3 Stirling representatives in this one, alongside Piers Greening and George Smith. Both of those guys not doing too badly either. However, on to the freestyle, and it's 1.67 seconds for Greening. It's bringing hundreds more back to Hutchinson. Goodman also within 2 seconds, and here they come now. But we can see this on the freestyle, final 25 metres, 5 men chasing the time of 2:02 is the quickest so far. They need to beat that to give themselves a good chance of competing in this event again a little bit later. 2:12 matches it by Evan Jones, Hutchinson and Smith very, very close behind.
Next up in the women's pool, it's the 50-metre butterfly. This is heat 15. Morgan, McNamara, Evans, Chambers, Winstanley, Pease, Parkinson, Judge, McGonigal and Thornton is your lineup for heat 15 of the women's 50-metre butterfly. Georgia Pease of Swansea, 28.59, just 100th of a second off of the entry time of Winstanley, but it's more than that of an advantage in the pool. Pease in 5. Looks to be just about in front of the rest. She takes the heat victory in 28.46. That's up on her entry time.
In the men's pool, final heat of the 200 IM, it's heat number 8.
In the women's pool, it's heat 16. We've got Hart, Tennant, Goldby, Standing, Grieve, Rogers, Robertson, Russell, Williams and Price in heat 16 of the women's 50-metre butterfly. It's a good start for Lucy Grieve of Stirling, the fastest entry time on paper, and she is starting to move away. Next to her, Harriet Rogers of Loughborough in lane 5 is also going strongly. The heat victory will go to Lucy Grieve of Stirling in a time of 26.88 seconds.
Halfway update for you in the men's Tour de IM. It is Maxwell, 0.6 of a second clear of Jones, and then Poulter or Trapwell within 1.2 seconds. You've seen this so many times. It's going to be an absolutely fascinating final later on tonight. One of the events that is going to close our entire championship weekend, the first of 3 weekends in the BUCS swimming series. As they approach the freestyle, as were Jonathan Rutter chasing down Robbie Jones of Loughborough.
In the women's pool, it's time for heat 17.
There's going to be a blanket finish in the final heat. All these boys chasing the last few spots in the final. Robin has set great times here. All 5 of these guys could make the final. Robbie Jones the quickest, 2:04.01.
Harvey, Stansfield, Slessor, Morris, Stevens, McInnes, Robertson, Stemp, Cambrook and Musial going in heat 17 for the women. Where's the heat victory going to come from? It's going to come from heat 5, lane 5 rather. Kiana McInnes of Stirling in a time of 27.38. That result confirmed then, Stevens taking second in that heat. And we can move on with heat number 18.
So the men's pool, we can kick off with the 50-metre butterfly. This is heat number 20.
In the women's pool, Fikovic and Calderbank side by side, and it's on the touch for the heat victory. 26.89 for Fikovic, 27.02 for Calderbank.
This is heat number 21.
Next up in the women's pool, it's the 100-meter backstroke. This is heat 10. We've got Tang in 0, Ashton in 1, Lucas in 2, Eiley in 3, Pye in 4, Wood in 5, Burbage in 6, Hosking in 7, Curlew in 8, and Bellotti in lane 9. Just a second and a half separating the entry times of all of our swimmers in heat 10 of the women's 100-meter backstroke. Lissy Burbage of Sheffield Hallam looking good in 6, as is Megan Pye of East Anglia in 4. Those two will finish very close together. It's Burbage of Sheffield Hallam, 104.57. In the women's pool, it's heat 11. Heat 11 of the women's 100-meter backstroke. No Honey Osrin in at lane 4, the only sub 1 minute swimmer in terms of entry time. So let's have a look at the 50-meter split. It is Kinch from Tinsley by 0.19 seconds. Confirmation of victory in heat 11 for Nellie Kinch of Nottingham in a time of 101.8. In the women's pool, heat 12.
Jason Mamatova going to bring this one home in heat number 8, 56.64. That is really quick. That's a second half quicker than his entry time. Really good go for the finals, but we'll find out shortly.
We've got Butcher, Turner, Eiley, Munden, Cox, Prince Rayner, Shields, Turner, Lucas and Mills going in heat 12 of the women's 100-metre backstroke. The halfway split has Cox at 29.38, 0.86 seconds up on Jasmine Eiley in lane 2. Lauren Cox of Loughborough, the only sub 1 minute entry time on the list, 59.43. Prince Rayner of Bath in 5, trying to hunt her down. Eiley still going strongly in lane 2. It's coming from the centre of the pool, though, for the heat victory. Lauren Cox of Loughborough in 1 minute, 0.86.
This is heat number 9. Lead Brennan, Jamie Ferguson, Tony Stewart, Harry Turner, Jonathan Adam, Charlie Bray, Sophie Lucas, Joe Davis and David Pugh.
In the women's pool, it's heat 13.
Final 25 metres of heat 9. And it's in fact going the way of Harry Turner. Where 3 Swansea representatives, but look at his back. Out comes Jonathan Adam. In the final 5 metres he's taken that one. 54, 57, winning and fastest side.
Back into the women's pool, we've got Slater, O'Keefe, Ferris, Butler, Duluth, Shaw, Garrett, Sasha, Hammerlane and Fletcher Stables. Duluth 0.79 seconds up on Ferris at the halfway stage. Duluth's entry time 57.20, significantly quicker than everybody else in the pool. Multiple medalists already, Duluth. We haven't seen anybody go sub 1 minute in these heats yet. Will Duluth do that to put down a marker, or is she just going to make sure of her place in the final? Let's have a look at the clock. It's going to be close. It is just outside a minute, 1 minute, 0.08 seconds.
In the men's pool, this is heat 10.
In the women's pool, it's time for the 400-metre freestyle. This is heat 4.
Halfway mark now, ultimate heat for the 100 back in the men's pool. Brooker ahead, keeps them on 800ths of a second. Less than a second back to Morgan and Greenback, Taylor and Merrick. You've seen some tight finishes. We're going to see another. We've seen plenty of sub 60 seconds as low as 54, 55. What can we see? The last 5 metres then super close between Bricker and Gibson. Back comes Morgan to Elise Camper at 54, 0.8 to 100th ahead of Scott Gibson. They will go against each
In the women's pool, the first of the 4 fastest heats of the 400-metre freestyle. Heat 4. We'll see heats 1, 2, and 3 in the next session. In lane 1 for Leeds, we've got Abby Davison. In 2 for Exeter is Katie Leary. In lane 3 is Lily Bryant of York. Lane 4, Alyssa Basinger of Warwick. Lane 5 is Deryn Cressy-Rogers of Oxford. Lane 6, Tony Shaw of Stirling. 7 is Rebecca Augier of Durham. Lane 8, Chloe Plater of Warwick. And in lane 9, Eleanor Mason of Cambridge.
Time in the backstroke for the time being onto the early hits. A little bit late this afternoon, but Jack Knight, Shakira Saldani, Harry Noble, Zach Speakman, Connor Ferguson, Elliot Clark, Toby Hill, Archie Evans, Connor Wiley, and Ethan Richards. 54 seconds so far is the marker to the halfway stage. 25.8 for Ferguson, Hill, Speakman and Clark in their second. Noble Evans just outside. Could potentially get 6 or 7 guys from their seats into the final a little bit later on tonight. The central force certainly looking that way. Speakman, Ferguson, Clark and Hill all going for it. Gunning for the line. Gunning for the best lane replacement tonight. 53, 52 and 53, 63, the 2 fastest times we've seen. The Loughborough teammates will be in lanes 4 and 5 later once these times are confirmed.
Let's check in the women's pool at the 250-metre stage. It is Katie Leary of Exeter leading Alyssa Basinger of Warwick by 0.66 seconds. Close behind them in 3, 5 and 6, Bryant, Cressy-Rogers and Shaw. Katie Leary's entry time, 4:40.5. Few swimmers in the pool with an entry time 3 seconds quicker. Leary's advantage still about 0.6 seconds over Basinger of Warwick with 100 metres to go. Basinger, the quickest entry time in this heat, of 4:37.23. We'll get down later on into heat 7, around the 4-minute mark in terms of entry times.
This
25 metres to go in heat 4 in the women's pool. Katie Leary's advantage extended by half a second over Basinger in lane 4 at the previous split, and Katie Leary has got the strength and got the stamina to hold on for the heat victory. Led it from the front and wins it in 4:35.84. Basinger second, 4:37.22.
is, of course, a heat declared winning event. So the wings are open. These are going to put themselves in a pole position. We're going to see heats 4, 5, 6 and 7. Now, of course, you'd anticipate the medalists coming from the lead 4 heats. We can't officially confirm it. See what we've seen heats 1, 2 and 3 a little bit later on this afternoon.
In the women's pool, it's time for heat 5. in heat 5. Then we've got Rosie Dominican of Cardiff in 0. In 1 is Abigail Jackson of Birmingham. Her teammate Alana Sinclair in lane 2. Jennifer Murray for Edinburgh in 3. Laura Sharp of Swansea in 4. Abby Hull for Edinburgh in 5. Shannon Dallaghan from Birmingham in 6. Olivia Dew of Cambridge in 7. Grace Campbell for Strathclyde in 8. And Hannah Eastbury of Cambridge in lane 9. In the women's pool, Murray leading Sharp by 0.46 seconds. Those two have just pushed themselves away from the remainder of the chasing pack, which is led by Rosie Dominican of Cardiff in lane 0. Murray of Edinburgh in 3. Sharp of Swansea in 4. 4.5 seconds between them in terms of their entry time. Certainly not the case as they take the next split time, the 200-metre split halfway stage. Murray, 0.61 seconds in front. In the women's pool, it's still Murray leading Sharp, slightly bigger advantage, 0.77 seconds at the most recent of the splits. Those two just pushing each other along nicely. Of course, this is a heat-declared winner event, so it is all about the time. This, the third fastest of the fastest 4 heats of the 400-metre freestyle. We've got heats 1, 2 and 3 to come in the next session. .50 metres to go. Sharp from Murray, 0.62 seconds the advantage. Dallaghan in lane 6 is 4.08 seconds behind the leader. So the heat victory is going to come from one of these two, pushing each other along nicely in lanes 3 and 4. Murray and Sharp. Sharp of Swansea is holding off the fight back, is she? Just about. 4:26.59 is the winning time for heat number 5. That result confirmed on the scoreboard for heat 5 in the women's pool. Murray second and Shannon Dallaghan of Birmingham in 4:32.32, rounding off the top 3 in heat 5. We can move on in the women's pool to heat number 6. In the women's pool, this is the penultimate heat of the session, heat 6 of the 400-metre freestyle. Jess Podger of Loughborough leading the way in 4, side by side in 3 and 5, Phila de Britton and Anya Priest. Podger's split time at 100 metres, 59.97, 1.32 seconds ahead of Britton, 1.34 seconds ahead of Priest. So Priest just 0.02 of a second down on Britton.
Every man in the heat number 6 and 7 can go sub 4. And we get down again to 3:35. The likes of Felix over in heat 7. So these guys in heat 5, in order to be in contention for a medal, need to have an absolute worldie. Make no mistake about that whatsoever. Dan English of Birmingham in 6. And Ken Newell of St Mason's back from Birmingham in lane number 2. Leading the way early on, plenty of swing to go. Halfway marker coming up. And it's the red caps of Birmingham separated by just 0.3 of a second. And 1 second lead over the rest of the field.
No change at the very front in the women's pool. Podger still leading, but Priest has started to pull away from her nearest competitor, Phila de Britton, for second spot in this particular heat. And Priest is actually starting to claw her way back towards Jess Podger of Loughborough. They turn at 300 metres. Podger's advantage over Priest is 1.12 seconds. Britton 4.29 seconds down now. In lane 6, Sophie Main, and in 8, Mary Craig of Edinburgh. They're 4th and 5th as it stands. But lane 5, Anya Priest closing in on Jess Podger. Let's have a look at the latest of the split times. With 50 metres to go, that gap is now just 0.22 seconds. Priest is really coming on strong in the last half of this race. They're virtually side by side. Priest with an entry time of 4:16.08. Podger, entry time of 4:15.35. Looks like they're going to be inside their entry times. Who's going to take the heat win? It is Podger of Loughborough, just about holding off the fight back in a time of 4:11.72. In the women's pool, it's the final heat of the 400 metres freestyle for this session. It's heat 7. In lane 0, we've got Jemima Hall of Bath. Lane 1 is Mia Slevin of Loughborough. Lane 2, Michaela Glenister from Stirling. Lane 3 is Leah Crisp from Bath. Lane 4, Paige Madden of Loughborough. Her teammate Freya Colbert in lane 5. 6 is Katie Shanahan of Stirling. In lane 8, we've got Lucy Hankett of Loughborough. And in lane 9, Nicole Ritchie from Edinburgh.
And the men's pool, this is heat number 6. A couple of lanes empty in lane 6. In lane 1, we do have Ruben Vida. 2, Jude Lydia. 3, Isaac Dawes. 4, George Smith. 5, Ben Cook. 6, Michael Flynn. And we jump to lane 8, Liam McLaughlin. And in 9, Mark John Adney. So 4:02, our quickest time that's been set from heat number 5. All of these chaps can go sub 4 minutes, so expect a new fastest time to be set. Fastest of them, George Smith's going 3:54.22, so he can go 8 seconds quicker than the current, got to call it the current gold medal winning time, to be declared winning event. I start from Ruben Vida at Sheffield Hallam up in lane number 1, just 800s behind Flynn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times within 0.99 of a second through 100 metres.
In the women's pool, it's the Loughborough teammates Madden and Colbert that are side by side at the halfway stage. Just 0.16 seconds is Colbert's advantage over Madden. Entry times ranging from 3:59 to 4:14 in this, the fastest heat of the 400 metres freestyle. And it is still Madden that leads Colbert by just 0.18 seconds at 250 metres.
We will have our earlier 3 heats later on in session 5B, so very, very unlikely that one of those 3 heats will produce a medalist. However, no matter what, just in case somebody has the performance of their life, we won't call anybody to make us a guaranteed goal to the bronze medalist. Just as a little caveat, but 99 times out of 100, we can take that as a given.
And the 350 metre split, Leah Crisp has started to motor for Bath in lane 3. She is right up and level with Freya Colbert in lane 5. It's still Paige Madden in between those two who leads this heat. And as Ewan just said for the men's pool, these times are likely to be right amongst the fastest and right in the mix for the medals, and touching first in 4:08.33, just 0.1 of a second ahead of Leah Crisp, was Paige Madden for Loughborough in lane 4. Freya Colbert 4:08.59, rounding off the top 3 in this, the fastest heat.
Final 50 metres of our penultimate heat of this session. It is in the men's pool. And turning on the afterburners in one Ruben Vida, Sheffield Hallam. Well, he was swimming alongside a couple of guys only 50 metres ago. And he's putting the pedal to the metal, off he goes. And he will confidently win in a brilliant time of 3:53.99. I would have said Smith, Flynn and McLaughlin's done all fantastic, they are. But Ruben Vida put the cats amongst the pigeons here. One more to come. And that could potentially be a medal winning time. We'll have to wait and see. 1